Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Diya Parachaya Shorohe Amaya Tomara Charana Dori. Diya Parachaya Shorohe Amaya Tomara Charana Dori. Jaya Vegadumi, Jaya Dosha Shodhi, Jaya Guna Deho Dase. Jaya Vegadumi, Jaya Dosha Shodhi, Jaya Guna Deho Dase. Jaya Satsanga Deho He Amare Bose Shi Sangera She. Jaya Satsanga Deho He Amare Bose Chi Sangera She. Ekaki Amara Nahi Pai Balo Harinama Sankirtane. Ekaki Amar Nahi Pai Balo Harinama Sankirtane. Tumi kripa kore shadabindu diya deho Krishna namadhane. Tumi kripa kore shadabindu diya deho Krishna namadhane. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakti ache. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakti ache. Amito Ganga Krishna Krishna boli Daitava pace pace. Amito Ganga Krishna Krishna boli Daitava pace pace. Ohe Vaishnava Thakur Doyara Sagara Idase Karuna Kori. Ohe O He Vaishnava Thakur, Doyara Sagara, Idase Karuna Kori. Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur. Jaya Bhakti Vino, Jaya Bhakti Vino, Jaya Bhakti Vino, Jaya Bhakti Vino. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Today we're remembering His Divine Grace Bhaktivinoda, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And let's look at this song, O He Vaishnava Thakur, because this epitomizes the mood of pure process of pure devotional service. O He Vaishnava Thakur. Remembering Bhaktivinoda Thakur, great Vaishnav. O Venerable Vaishnav Thakur, O Ocean of Mercy, be merciful to this servant of yours and purify me with the shade of your lotus feet. Your lotus feet I humbly hold. That's the Venerable Vaishnavas. Venerable means, exactly, it means somebody who's been around for a while and has experience and is venerated, respected by all. The exact definition. Old and respected. Valued and respected. Because of old age or long use. Yeah. So the Vaishnav devotees of the Lord, the venerable Vaishnavas, are those who have either come from the spiritual world or who have throughout this lifetime given themselves to the service of Guru and Krishna and have become venerable, respected. O Venerable Vaishnav Thakur, O Ocean of Mercy, be merciful to this servant of yours. So the devotees are described as the Ocean of Mercy because they carry within their hearts love for Krishna. Bhavad Vida Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirtha Kurvanti Tirthani Swantakstena Gadavrita. Yudhishthira Maharaj had said to Vidura that you are verily a holy place personified because you carry Krishna within your heart. Actually, even better, the devotee carries love for Krishna within his heart. The internal potency of the Lord manifested, Lenini Shakti, it's there within the heart of the devotee. And in the sense, the devotees are described as ocean of mercy because they are kind to everyone. They are magnanimous. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashrita bhajantya nanya manaso gyatva bhutitim avyayam. Krishna says in the Gita that the devotees, the Mahatmas, the great souls, are those who are under the protection of the divine nature. Daivim ashritaha, they've taken shelter there. And just by taking shelter of Mahatmas, one can attain success in life, all success in life. Mahatsevam dwara mahurva muktes tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam. Mahantaste samachita prashanta vimanyavak surira sadavoye. Lord Rishabhadev says that the door to liberation and perfection is open by serving the Mahatmas. Mahatsevam dwarava mahurva muktes. So service to these Mahatmas. This is the guaranteed path to go back home, back to Godhead. And in the Adi Purana, Krishna tells Arjuna that one who says that he's my devotee is not my devotee, but one who says, I'm the devotee of your devotee, he's my real devotee. And in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is said that if one is a devotee of Lord Narayan, there's some question about whether he'll attain perfection or not. But if one is the devotee of Lord Narayan, then there's no question. He'll definitely be delivered, because the devotees are so magnanimous. And interestingly, in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna tells Arjuna, Shri Prambhavati Dharmatma Shashvash Chantim Nigachati Kaunteya Pratidanihi Nami Bhaktya Pranashati. You declare it boldly, Arjuna, that my devotee never perishes. Because Krishna always backs up what his devotee says. He himself may sometimes, twist the truth a little bit, but for the benefit of his devotees, to control the outcome. But when his devotee makes a promise, as mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion, one of the qualities of Krishna is that he's truthful. After the Kurukshetra battle, Akunti said, the sun may someday turn cold and the moon may someday turn hot, but you will always keep your word. Because he said before the war, I'll bring back all your sons, and he did, amazingly, after Kurukshetra. So, one who's a devotee of Krishna is the repository of Krishna's affection. So this song, Ohe Vaishnava Thakur, Doyara Sagara, he's crying out to the Vaishnav, which is very rare in this world, as it pointed out, and you can sit here because we're going to have an ongoing katha in songs till the midnight hour. Oh, just Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sadulabha prasantatma koti shvapi mahamune. This one's for you. You can sit here. And this verse says that the liberated souls are very rare. Even the liberated souls, Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana, and then those who are narayana parayana, who are completely sold out to Lord Narayan. These are the rarer still. So to find such a advanced soul who is an ocean of mercy, who has no other agenda in this world except to give mercy, is very rare. So this calling out, "Oh hey Vaishnava Thakur," is very satisfying. Ramananda Roy, when asked by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu what is the cause of suffering in the material world, said, "I know of no other suffering except for separation from the Vaishnavas. That's the only suffering in this world." That's how important the Vaishnavas are. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is showing us the path of pure devotional service. Ohe Vaishnava Thakur Doyara Sagara. E Dase Karuna Kore. Just be merciful to me and let me be your servant. And purify me with the shade of your lotus feet. So in his song, also one of our favorite songs we always sing here on the holy days, Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu. In this song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about the spontaneous path of devotional service. And he begins with talking about the root cause of devotional service, which is that the service to the feet, the dust of the feet of the Vaishnavas, is the root cause of devotional service. The root cause of devotional service. Shuddha Bhakata Charara Renu. The Renu. In fact, the Shastra says that you can become a perfect householder, a perfect sannyasi, do karma kanda perfectly, everything perfectly, and you won't attain perfection unless you take the dust from the feet of the great devotees and smear it upon your body, which really means this mood of service to the Vaishnavas. It's not necessarily, although it's not prohibited to take such dust and put it on one's body, and it's actually recommended in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that the three most powerful substances are the dust from the lotus feet of the pure devotees, the water that has washed their feet, and the remnants of their prasad. But the mood is the important thing, that I'm the servant of a Vaishnava. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his songs in the Sharanagati, talking about this mood of surrender to the Vaishnavas, talks about his desire to become the dog of a Vaishnava. And he says that, please let me become your dog, and you'll tie me to the back porch of your house, and whatever remnants are left over from your food, you can throw over the back porch and I'll take that. And whenever your enemies come close by, then I'll guard your house and I'll keep them away. This mood of surrender to the Vaishnavas. O he Vaishnava Thakur, Doyara Sagara Edhase Karuna Kori. Please purify me with the shade of your lotus feet. Your lotus feet I humbly hold. Dori means he's holding on to the feet of the Vaishnavas. So that's our only process, really, is to receive this kind of mercy from the Vaishnavas. And the whole process of Krishna consciousness is dependent on this acharya upasanam, a worship of the Vaishnavas. And Prabhupada points out, when he speaks on the appearance days of the acharyas, that the great acharyas will reciprocate with us as we surrender to them in their service. They're capable of passing down mercy to us, and very much willing to do so. And then, by helping me control the six urges and purifying me of the six faults, bestow upon your servant the six good qualities. O Master, please give me the six kinds of holy association. I have sat down here hoping to have your company. So, in a very scientific way, the acharyas have described how there are various faults to overcome, urges of the senses to overcome, in order to become steady in devotional service. And it's a miracle that actually one can really control one's senses in this world. In fact, it is said that Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udara pasta vegam, etan vegam yo vishaheta dhira, sarvamapimam pritivim nashishat. That one who's able to control all the urges of the senses becomes the spiritual master for everyone in the world. Because normally the senses are the masters of this world. Kamadinam katina katida palita duranideshas tesham jatamayina karuna natrapa nopashanti Utsrijaitanata yarupate samprata labda buddhis tamayata sharanam apayam mam nyungshva madasye. When Vaishnav says, how long have I served the bad masters of my senses? I've never questioned them, and I've never received any mercy from them, and they've never given me time off. But I go on serving them, but no more. Now, my Lord, I'm approaching you for personal service. My intelligence is awakened. Labdha buddhi, I've gained my intelligence, and now my intention is to serve you. So this prayer that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us, I'm sitting down here to follow your instructions as they're coming through Rupa Goswami and the Upadeshamrita, control the urges of the senses. This is a very exciting occupation. It's practically impossible, but with the mercy of the Vaishnava, it is possible. That if one calls out for the help of the Vaishnavas and renders service, then they can empower one to actually control the senses. And then one's real internal life begins as one's no longer harassed by the urge of the senses and the mind. One can turn one's attention wholly towards serving Krishna. Utsrijaitanata yarupate samprata labdha buddhis tamayata sharanam mam nyungshva madasye. This devotee who's become awakened now says, now I turn my full attention towards serving you. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that alone I do not find the strength to chant the holy name of Hari. Please be merciful and blessing me with a drop of faith. Bestow on me the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. And Bhaktivinoda is teaching us this principle that the greatest wealth that one can have in this world is to get a taste for the holy name. And he says in one of his morning bhajans, Nam bina kichu nahi ko oro chauda bhuva namaje, that there's nothing to be had in the 14 worlds except for the holy name. Nothing really to see here that hasn't been seen before, nothing to do that hasn't been done before. But the holy name is fresh at every moment and is the treasure of our lives. So this is the great Acharya Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who revealed to the entire world. Not only did he reveal it, but he marketed it. He could have kept it to himself. Sometimes people keep treasures to themselves. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur went on a full-scale campaign to market the holy name as widely as possible. Marketing means you have to have a scheme to organize in such a way that people get your product. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur came up with the Namhata, complete with an entire sales structure, an organizational structure that would show how the holy name would be marketed to everybody in the world. And as Nirada Prabhu was telling me yesterday, Prabhupada once said that I want to see the holy name, the Krishna consciousness spread everywhere at once. This is a feeling of the great acharyas who know the value of the holy name and see people suffering because of not getting it. And at once they want everyone to have it. So you have to have a good plan to make sure. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had this plan, the marketplace of the holy name, and he had brokers and salespeople. The price for the holy name, someone could purchase for their faith. Shadaban Janhe, Shadaban Janhe. Oh, just, you can come take this. Lord Nityananda, he said, is selling it in the marketplace. If you just bring your faith in the holy name, then you can buy this. Oh, and it's so satisfying for the devotees to go out on behalf of the great Vaishnavas who are following the footsteps of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya to market the holy name. We were talking last night about just the satisfaction of distributing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and how Navina Prabhu was also telling me yesterday that when Sally Agrawal came to Vrindavan last year, or was it New Vrindavan? She came to Vrindavan. She got adhikari to go to Vrindavan, and she was telling the devotees that when Prabhupada came to her house, he was talking about his Bhagavatams. She said constantly how he wanted to get them published and distributed everywhere. And to fulfill the desire of a devotee, of a great Vaishnav, by taking up that same work, this is the greatest benediction that one can attain. And from that, Shushru Shro Shradhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtana Shevana. Sutta Goswami says in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when you do great service to the devotees, then you gain affinity for hearing the messages of Krishna. Affinity is a really powerful word too. Right now, I may have affinity for many things in this world which are not my friends. What does affinity mean?
A feeling of closeness and understanding that someone has for another person because of their similar qualities, ideas, or interests.
Someone gains an affinity for hearing Krishna Katha by serving the devotees. And finally he says, Krishna is yours and you can give him to me, for such is your power. This wretch is simply running behind you crying out, Krishna, Krishna. Dai tava pache pache. So throughout Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs, he shows us exactly, not even shows us, but by singing the songs, we feel the right mood for serving Krishna and advancing in devotional service. The Acharyas give some literary contribution. Bhaktivinoda Thakur not only wrote philosophy, but he also wrote the best songs. Every song Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written rises to the top of the charts. Each one has the potential of catching one's mind and heart, and at the same time instilling the right mood of devotional service and inspiring one. As Prabhupada used to say, windows to the spiritual world, these songs are like that also. So it's miraculous how much he did in such a short amount of time, and how much he left behind. So our mood today is worshiping the Acharya. We have nowhere else to go. We have no other occupation except for, and feeling very fallen and qualified, we simply call out, Dai tava pache pache. I'm running behind you, simply asking, please give me some little qualification for devotional service. Let me become your servant. Let me also have an affinity for hearing about Krishna. And there is no other process, because, as we say frequently, I'm born into darkness. I can't see for myself, so I must take the higher authority. And if one is in legal trouble, don't try to get yourself out of it and go to a lawyer, right? If you have a medical problem, then you should go to somebody who knows what they're doing. Don't try to self-medicate at home. I've seen it before. It's not very nice. So we have to take the great authorities, the acharyas who have come down to us. This is our greatest mercy, the greatest mercy, to take their help and to pray to them like this, Daya tava pache pache. Please give me something, even one little drop, just something. And in this way, if one can get one tiny drop of mercy, get the attention of the great acharyas, by becoming the servant of the servant of the servant of the Acharyas and doing some meaningful service and trying with one's sincere heart to serve them, then one can advance in the process of devotional service. So this song, O He Vaishnava Thakur by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, gives the perfect direction how to advance in devotional service. And now perhaps we can have Sri Mukunda Dato Prabhu sing bhajan. You can move this table over there and bring him the harmonium. We may be able to convince him.
Which one should I sing?
What do you like?
All of them.
We could sing Srila Bhakata.
Yeah. Or this one. This is a little bit off the beaten track.
Okay.
Everybody has the words, right?
What's that?
Everyone has the words on the screen.
They can find it. They don't have it in the PowerPoint, but they can put it up.
You play sixties?
No.
Does she? Or is she?
No. No, she's not here.
Okay. All right.
Better pick something
Yeah, we'll pick
too
something.
tall. I don't think we need those, because he's going to put it up. What is it?
Shuddha Bhakta.
Shuddha Bhakata. Pardon me? We're working out the typos. Keep you on your toes.
What page is it? I guess so, yeah. Thanks. Shuddha Bhakta Charanareno Charananukula Shuddha Bhakta Charanareno Bhajanayanukula Shuddha Bhakta Charanareno Bhajanayanukula
Shuddha Bhakta Charanareno Bhajanayano Kula
Shuddha Bhakta Charanarenu
Bhakta Seva Paramasiddhi Premalati Karamura Bhakta Bhakta Seva Paramasiddhi Bhakta Seva Paramasiddhi Premalati Karamula Bhakta Seva Paramasiddhi Premalati Karamula Shuddha Bhakta Charanareno Bhajanayano Kula Madhavati thi bhakti janani Jatane palana hari Krishna sevana Vashati Bori Paramaya Dara Kule Gauramar Jeshavasane Karalo Brahmana Range Se sabasthana heri voami Pranaya bhakti sange Mridanga badya shunite man Avasara sada jache Gaura vihita kirtana shuni Ananda hridaya nache Jugala murti dekhiya mor Paramayananda hoy प्रसाद सेवा करिते हैं सकल प्रपंच जाय जे दिन गृहे भजन देखी गृहे ते गोलोक भाय चरण सीधु देखिया गंगा सुख नासी मा पाय तुलसी देखी जुड़ाई प्राण माधव तो शनि जाने गौर प्रिय शाक सेवने जीवन सार्थक माने भक्ति विनोद कृष्ण भजने अनुकूल पाई जा प्रति दिवसे परम सुखे स्वीकर कयहता शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल भक्त सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमलती कारमूल शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु भजन अनुकूल भक्त सेवा परम सिद्धि प्रेमलती करमूल The dust from the lotus feet of pure devotees gives rise to pure devotional service. And service to the devotees is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. The dust from the lotus feet of pure devotees gives rise to devotional service. And service to the devotees is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. With great care, I observe holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, for they are the mother of devotion. And with the greatest reverence and love, I choose as my dwelling place the transcendental abode of Sri Krishna. In the company of loving devotees, I will visit all those places where my Lord Gaurasundar traveled and performed his pastimes. My mind always begs to hear the music of the mridanga, and my heart dances in ecstasy whenever I hear the kind of kirtan established by Lord Gaurachandra. I feel supreme bliss when I behold the deity forms of the divine couple, Sri Radha and Krishna, and I conquer all worldly illusions by honoring the Lord's prasadam. Every day, Goloka Vrindavan appears in my home when I see Lord Hari being worshipped there. My joy knows no bounds when I see the Ganges, a river of nectar emanating from the Lord's lotus feet. The sight of the tulasi plant soothes my soul, for I know she gives pleasure to Lord Krishna. I feel that my life has been fulfilled when I honor shak, a green leafy vegetable preparation that is a favorite of Lord Chaitanya's. Whatever Bhakti Vinod obtains that furthers devotional service to Sri Krishna, he accepts every day with the greatest joy. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Om Jnanatimaranthasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Guru Paramananda Premananda Phalaprada Vrajananda Pradhananda Sevaya Mam Niyojya. The dust from the lotus feet of the pure devotees gives rise to devotional service. And service to the devotees is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. He was saying a moment ago that, quoting the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, Syanmahat sevaya vipra punyatirtana shevanat vasudeva katharuchi. We get this taste for hearing when we serve the devotees. And beginning with hearing, we enter into the realm of devotional service. I mean, the hearing is what gives rise to devotional service. The dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotees. Service to the pure devotees and taking the dust from their lotus feet allow one to enter into the realm of devotional service. But that service is itself the supreme perfection. Just like we've several times described there. You have a green mango and you have a red mango. And both the green mango and the red mango are mangoes. But they have different properties. They certainly taste different. So, devotional service is like that. In the beginning stage, we serve the pure devotees in order to give rise to devotional service. But that service itself is our supreme perfection as well. Even when we're in the spiritual world, we're only engaged mainly in serving the devotees. Maharaj Kulashekar says in his Mukunda Mala Stotra, Tvad bhritya bhritya paricharaka bhritya bhritya bhrityasya bhritya iti mam smara. That please consider me to be the servant of 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 your servant. 7 times removed. And Lord Chaitanya prayed similarly. Because that is the supreme perfection. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has stated that The further away we are from Krishna in the chain of service to his devotees who are pure, the closer we are to Krishna. And that is called Achintya Bheda Bhedavad, the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bhed. Now you can have one thing and the opposite thing at the same time. It's not necessarily conceivable, but you can experience it. This is the point. So, we're talking about the practices of devotional service here, sadhana bhakti. And he says that this service to the devotees, it's the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. So how is it that it's the supreme perfection, and yet it's just the root of the tender creeper, which is generally the beginning of this divine love? Who has an answer? What does it mean? You have a comment? He says, this service to the devotees is itself the supreme perfection, but it's also the root of the tender creeper of divine love. So what is he talking about when he says this? What divine love is he referring to? Sorry? Serving, yeah, that's what we're talking about. What is, in other words, if service to the devotees is the supreme perfection, then how is it also the root of the tender creeper of divine love? A root, the creeper of devotion is nourished by the water, and the water is drawn through the roots only. If you don't have those roots there, then that creeper of devotion cannot sustain. We depend on the devotees. This is the point. Therefore, it's the supreme perfection. That's a very important point. Then he goes on to list a few details. With great care, I observe holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, for they are the mother of devotion. Bhakti Janani. What does Janani mean? But what does it mean literally? Janani. Ah? Yes, exactly. It produces this result. Mother of devotion means they produce devotion these days. And with the greatest reverence and love, I choose as my dwelling place the transcendental abode of Sri Krishna. We live in the places where the Lord is performing his pastimes. If possible, one can live in Mayapur or Vrindavan, or one can create Mayapur and Vrindavan anywhere one goes. That's even better. And we see that this was Prabhupada's example. Wherever he went. Therefore, the devotee is called, in the verse that we cited already, Punya Tirtha. Punya Tirtha. A devotee is called Tirtha, especially in the Madhvacharya Sampradaya. All the sannyasis have this title, Tirtha. So, Tirtha means a holy place, and Tirtha actually means a place of crossing, where you ford a river, or where you cross the river, you get to the other side. In modern language, in this part of the country, we might call it a portal. And we get to the spiritual world through this portal of the holy place, whether it's Vrindavan or Mayapur, or so many Dwarka, Puri, where the Lord has had his pastimes. But the devotee is himself such a holy place as well, because he is also capable of fording the river. He takes us across this material world, and he takes us across the Viraja River that separates the material world from the spiritual world. So Punya Tirtha, he's pious by nature, and he makes us pious as well. Later on in the Bhagavatam, we have a verse that says, if one serves this Nirguna Supreme Lord, then he also becomes Nirguna. And similarly, if we serve these pious devotees, then we also become pious. And they take us across. So Punya Tirtha Nishevana means to serve these devotees, who are themselves like portals to the spiritual world, windows to the spiritual world. Their activities are transparent. Their motives are transparent, just as a window is transparent. So, when we dwell in the holy place where the Lord has performed his pastimes, we're reminded of the Lord at every step. And similarly, when we associate with and serve the pure devotees, we're also reminded of the Lord at every step, therefore they're tirthas. This is the idea. In the company of loving devotees, I will visit all those places where my Lord Gaurasundar traveled and performed his pastimes. Pranayi Bhakta. He wants to be with devotees who have developed affection. That's actually a very advanced stage. In the beginning, we have some faith, and we invest our faith in good association. In that good association, we're automatically, naturally, we're engaged in devotional service, and we become purified thereby. When we become fixed in that activity, then we actually awaken some taste, and from that taste we become attached and addicted to it, as Prabhupada told John Lennon. He asked Prabhupada, how do we find who is a bona fide guru? And Prabhupada said, the person who's most addicted to Krishna. Because at that time, John Lennon was addicted to drugs. When you're addicted, you can't do without it. So, this is we see in the pure devotees, they cannot live without Krishna. They just can't live without Krishna or Krishna consciousness. So they're addicted, and when we're addicted, then and we continue in the same process of devotional service, that awakens bhava bhakti. Bhava bhakti, we might say, is as we said in the previous verse, the root of the tender creeper of divine love, which is prema bhakti. So, he says, in the company of these devotees, I want to see all the places, all of them, say Shabstan, where the Lord used to wander, especially Lord Chaitanya he's talking about. And then he goes on, Mridanga Badya Shunite Man Avashar Shadajache. My mind always begs to hear the music of the Mridanga, and my heart dances in ecstasy whenever I hear the kind of kirtan established by Lord Gaurachandra. Ananda Hridaya Nache, Gaur Vihita Kirtan. What is Gaur Vihita Kirtan? Vihita simply means arranged. So what is it? What kind of kirtan is he talking about? Separation from Krishna. Who else? Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Anything else? Prema Sankirtan. When Pratap Rudra Maharaj was first introduced to the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from the roof of his palace, he saw them performing this kirtan, and he had never heard kirtan like this. Just like when people come to ISKCON, they hear this kirtan that we do, and there's nothing like it. Or another way we might see it is that Narottam Das Thakur, of course that was later on, he actually invented a new style of kirtan, or according to some people, he revealed an eternal style of kirtan, which might also be interpreted here as Gauravihita Kirtan, Padavali Kirtan they call it, a particular style of kirtan in which we play the khol and kartal. Khol means the mridanga. Anyway, so this is the idea. Either way, it's the kirtan that Lord Chaitanya taught. He said, my heart dances whenever I hear that. Yugala murti dekhyamor paramananda hai. Prasad seva korite hai shakala prapancha jai. I feel supreme bliss when I behold the deity forms of the divine couple, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. And I conquer all worldly illusions by honoring the Lord's prasadam. We should always have this faith that we sing about. Mahaprasada Govinde, Nama Brahmani Vaishnave, ityadi. What does it mean? It means that a Krishna conscious person has tremendous faith in Mahaprasadam. And if we're very fortunate, we may have the experience that produces that faith by observing the effects of Mahaprasadam, either in our own lives or in the lives of those that we share it with. Mahaprasadam is always very powerful. In fact, Srila Prabhupada said, We have 3 modes of preaching in ISKCON. Who knows what they are? 3-pronged attack, you might say. There's Sankirtan we perform, Harinam Sankirtan. There is book distribution, of course, and prasad distribution. In fact, in 1977, when they were touring the Manhattan Temple, at that time ISKCON had a small skyscraper in Manhattan, and they were showing, Tamal Krishna Goswami was showing everything that Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada gave him the instruction, from now on, don't even open any more temples, just open restaurants. Restaurants and also reading rooms. So you have the books there, and when they're eating, or when they're digesting, what they read. I've seen this in the 1980s. You remember, Sunanda Prabhu was there. We opened this Kalachanji's restaurant in Dallas, and I used to see people coming every day to take prasadam, only interested in lunch, bus. They never set foot in the temple room. They never picked up a book. They never spoke to anyone. But because they were somehow, they got attached to prasadam, they kept coming back. And hote, as we say in Hindi, gradually, they became purified. Some years later, I came back in the 1990s, and I saw that some of these people were actually, had become congregational members of ISKCON. Now, I went back in 2000-something, 2009, I think it was, and lo and behold, here is the pujari is one of these customers who used to be in the restaurant. The temple treasurer is one of these people who used to be in the restaurant. Because of prasadam. Only because of prasadam. You see? It's so powerful. So he's expressing his attachment here to the Lord's prasadam. And he's stating a simple fact. Prasad seva korite hai, shakala prapancha jaya. Just by rendering service to prasadam, honoring prasadam, taking prasadam. Honoring prasadam or serving prasadam means you ingest it. You somehow put it inside the body, and then it will act. I've seen it many, many times. So we can conquer all worldly illusions. Prapancha. What does prapancha mean? Yeah, it means like a magic show. You're being duped. That is prapancha. And you can conquer that simply by prasadam. What to speak of actually seeing the deity, especially here in ISKCON, Silicon Valley. Where can you find more beautiful deities than this? I don't know. Whoever is worshipping the deities here, I can understand, is a fully Krishna conscious person or team. I think it was in Australia, Prabhupada said this about somebody had brought him some night. He was so pleased at the puri. Was it kurma? Somebody. And he said, this man, I can understand, he's Krishna conscious. Because he's made such a first-class puri for the deity, for the spiritual master. So anyway, at least that's how I see it. So who would not feel supreme bliss upon seeing such beautiful deities here? Especially the lotus feet of Gauranga. Incomparable, incomparable. I thought of this verse. Jayam sada, paribhavaknam abhishta doham. These lotus feet are the boat by which we cross the ocean of samsara. And they dispel all sorts of miseries and ugliness. Paribhavaknam abhishta doham. They fulfill all desires. Ityadi. So a nice verse you can find in the 11th canto that describe, in fact, according to our Vaishnava acharyas, the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. And Radha Krishna, how can I say? There's just no end to it. Lord Narasimhadev also. It's completely beautiful. Very, very nice deities. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was appreciating this, and by his grace, we have the opportunity to do likewise, if we take advantage. So, every day in Goloka Vrindavan appears in my home when I see Lord Hari being worshipped there. This is an interesting sentiment. I've heard this actually. When I was in college, I studied several poems of Brajapasha poems, other authors, who said the same thing. It's a very common sentiment. When we are worshiping Krishna, using our home only to serve Krishna, then there's no difference between our household life and Krishna consciousness. And this was another thing that Bhaktivinoda Thakur very amply demonstrated by his own example. So, my joy knows no bounds when I see the Ganges, a river of nectar emanating from the Lord's lotus feet. When I first went to Mayapur and was bathing in the Ganga, there was a sannyasi I was with. He was spinning and swimming and diving in the Ganga and just drinking deep the water, and he was completely in ecstasy. And he told me that this is Charanamrita. This whole river is Charanamritam. Because if you think about it, Trivikrama, who is Trivikrama? Vamanadev. He kicked a hole in the universe. From the hole in that hole in the universe, the celestial Ganga came pouring into this universe. And where did it land first? On the head of Chandrasekhar, Lord Shiva. And from there, at Haridwar, it's coming down in the mountains and eventually comes onto the plains, and then you get this Ganga there. So by the time it reaches Mayapur, it's doubly sanctified by being joined by Yamuna Devi and Saraswati as well at Prayag. So this is Ganga. Therefore, when he sees that Ganga, on whose banks Lord Chaitanya performed so many pastimes, he's also feeling so. He says his joy knows no bounds. Of course, nowadays when we see the Yamuna, we feel our sorrow knows no bounds, because 90% of the river Yamuna is dammed and shunted into Haryana and Uttaranchal for farming, irrigation. Only 10% is allowed to continue running. And by the time she reaches Wazirabad Barrage in Delhi, what happens? Does anyone know? You can guess. 10% of the river Yamuna, a very thirsty city of Delhi, all of that water goes into Delhi, and none of it is returned into the Yamuna basin without having been processed either through a factory or a human body. So the devotees are very avidly pursuing this. We hope that maybe the government now will also take part in trying to change this situation, because it's so distressful. Who would think that in Yamuna we're waving arati to sewage every night, every morning and night? Of course, Yamuna cannot be contaminated, but the point is that that's no way to treat a goddess. And if the river water itself is non-different from the goddess, then we've already killed that goddess, because 15 or 20 years ago the UN declared the Yamuna a dead river. Why? Because the pollution levels in the Yamuna have exceeded government limits by 20%. Not 20%, 20 times. Anyway, I don't want to get too far afield, but he feels great ecstasy when he sees the Ganges. The sight of the Tulsi plant soothes my soul, for I know she gives pleasure to Lord Krishna. Therefore she's called Krishna Prayasi. Prayas means what? That thing which is immediately appealing, immediately pleasing. This is what she does to Krishna. Krishna Prayasi. So, Ya drishtani khilakha sankha shamani sprashtavapuh pavani. By seeing the Tulsi plant, a whole host of sins is immediately destroyed. Just by seeing her. By touching the Tulsi plant, your body becomes purified. Right? Roganam avivandita. You become freed from disease by offering prayers to Tulsi Rani. Nirasani siktantakatrasini. And you become free of all fear by sprinkling water on Tulsi Devi. Pratyasati vidhayani bhagavataha krishnasya samropita. When you plant the Tulsi leaf, who can imagine the benefit? You create a new Tulsi in this world who does all these things. What is the benefit? Nyasta tatcharane vimukti phalada tasyai tulasyai namaha. That when When you place a tulsi leaf that you've picked from the plant at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, then you are automatically assured of liberation. Simple thing. Krishna even says, Tulasi dalamatrena jalasya chulukena va vikrinite samatmanam bhaktebhyo bhaktavatsala. I am Bhaktavatsala, and I cannot think of anything, Krishna is speaking, I cannot think of anything that is valuable enough to give someone who offers me even one tulsi leaf and a little water. Therefore, I have to sell myself to that person. Vikrinite swamatmana. I have to give myself to that person. He's purchased me. I'm his from that point on. This is the tremendous glory of the tulsi plant. Therefore, he says, when I even see the sight of the tulsi plant soothes my soul. Everybody knows this. One god brother gave me a book that he had written about tulsi. And just by seeing the photograph on the cover, so beautiful photograph of the tulsi and her green leaves, I just wanted to look at that picture forever. It was so nice. So, she gives pleasure to Lord Krishna. I feel that my life has been fulfilled when I honor shak, a green leafy vegetable preparation that is a favorite of Lord Chaitanya's. Any kind of spinach. Whatever Bhaktivinoda obtains that furthers devotional service to Sri Krishna, he accepts every day with the greatest joy. This is the point. We should be joyful in following the practices of sadhana bhakti because we have the opportunity to do so. Think about the condition of millions of people worldwide who know nothing about this. Just think about it. We are so fortunate and so blessed. And, you know, I was thinking this morning, I don't want to take too much time here, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I mean, we know about the glories of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and these wonderful songs that he's written like this one. All of them, actually. We know about that only because of his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who realized the genius of his father and published, he made it his first business and highest priority to publish these songs that Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote. In addition to these songs, maybe Bhaktivinoda Thakur is less known for his very, very deep and relevant philosophical writings in Sanskrit and also even in English. But essentially the same purport, the ultimate conclusion is given so simply in these Bengali songs that he's written. So here he's describing, he's glorifying the process of sadhana bhakti, and he's demonstrating his own ruchi, taste, which we've discussed already. He's demonstrating his taste for these wonderful practices. So we can emulate, we can take inspiration from his example, and we can try to emulate by learning to appreciate these practices as deeply as he did. And songs like this help us do so. You want to say something?
Sure. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Devashatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Continuing with the idea of how to attain perfection in devotional service. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when speaking to the devotees of Kuliagram, mentions that there was a book called Sri Krishna Vijay. It was written in not very perfect poetic language, But in the book, the author has glorified Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he says, Mor Prannath, he is my life and soul. E Bhakti Bi Kainu Bam Sherahata. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that because this author has written this book, Sri Krishna Vijay, and he has made this statement that Krishna is my life and soul, said, I am sold into his hands, and not only his hands, but in everyone in this village where he wrote the book has become dear to me. Then he says, even a dog in this village is dear to me. And so this is a very striking sentiment that Lord Chaitanya appreciated this fragrance of pure devotional service so much that one person who wrote the book in the village made that entire village fortunate. And everyone there, including the dogs, attracted the favorable glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what is rare in this world is this fragrance of pure devotional service. Everywhere people are moving about and looking for some kind of happiness. They're speaking all kinds of words. They're writing all kinds of books. They're making TV shows, radio shows. But none of them have even the slightest touch of the fragrance of pure devotional service. So, in the story of Dhruva Maharaj, it's explained how by his mystic perfection, Dhruva was able to influence the entire universe. He was so focused on the goal, and he had controlled his senses so perfectly that he was able to stop the breathing process of the universe, and it affected the demigods, who then went to the Lord and said, what's going on? Is it another Hiranyakashipu? And the Lord said, no, it's my devotee, and I'm going to go attend to him straight away. And in that section, Srila Prabhupada says that in the same way that Dhruva Maharaj was able to affect the whole universe because of his focus on devotional service, so a pure devotee can actually affect the whole world. And everything that we have here, all the programs that we do that I might take for granted on a regular basis and think, oh, this is just japa, or this is just prasadam, or something like that. Familiarity can breed contempt. It's a day to cultivate gratitude for what we've been given. In the Sunday feast, we think of how Sri Mukunda Prabhu was just saying how powerful the prasadam, the distribution of prasadam is. This whole process is conceived of by the great devotees like Bhaktivinoda Thakur and codified in such a way that it can be disseminated to the world at large. And we're the recipients of that. And it is the greatest satisfaction of the acharyas to see that it gets passed on to others so that they can take advantage of it as well. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is noted for having appeared at a time that was very difficult in India, because although the Muslims had invaded India and had a great effect on the culture there, it wasn't half as bad as the English, because they had rearranged the educational system. Previously, there was education in the villages, and everything was preserved through that system, but the English, in their great bent for organization, they have a tendency for that, rearranged the educational system in such a way that it was centralized, and people got the same doctrine. They were indoctrinated, in other words, and there was a insidious attack on the culture of India. So at the time when Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared, there was an undermining in faith of the people in general in India, in the Vedas, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in their very culture. And also there were world events around the same time. Darwin was coming out with his theories and so forth, which sounded fairly reasonable to a lot of people. And these discordant theories and ideas were circling around the world. And it's explained in the history when Bhaktivinoda Thakur began his campaign to spread Krishna consciousness. He had come from a society of intellectuals who had prided themselves in concocting all kinds of new religions, like Brahmoism, which was a combination of Christianity and some Mayavad, everything kind of mixed together in such a way that they could avoid the Srimad Bhagavatam and the direct approach understanding. Some of the original missionaries who came to India thought, oh, this is nice, another monotheistic religion. But then when they read the Srimad Bhagavatam and they heard about Krishna dancing with the gopis and so forth, then they thought this is some immoral, archaic kind of practice and so forth, and they made an attack. And people all over India, even the intellectuals who were so-called Hindus and so forth, were affected by this. And Bhaktivinoda was among the elite in society who associated with these people and was very much looked up to. And it's remarkable how suddenly, just as on a foggy day, sometimes the sun breaks through and then the light comes into the world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was that luminary who broke away from all of these contaminated theories and ideas and rediscovered the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which was very difficult to find even at the time. When he had heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he tried to find a copy of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it wasn't easy to find, not like these days. Not that there are many people looking for it, because people don't even know what it is yet. That's another interesting thing. We're taking these books that an acharya like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was so fond of, that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so fond of, in fact, that he said if all the other books in the world accidentally slide into the ocean, but these books are left over, no problem. They're so fond of these books, and we're taking them door to door. And people are in there watching, I don't know what they watch, but it's really weird. I just happened to walk by one place where somebody was, everywhere there's TV sets, and I noticed there was a show on, and it was all about buying wedding gowns. It's like, it's a reality show, as they call them, and I'm not going to go into many details, but they concoct so many things, and people are absorbed in these ways, and then the knock comes on the door and someone shows the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. They have no idea what kind of literature this is, the history, the great acharyas who have relished this literature and wanted to see it distributed all over the world, and the Srimad Bhagavatam and so forth. So thinking how, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is pleased with one statement, that Krishna is my life and soul, and he says, okay, whole village is in. That dog too, he comes along, he's going, he's coming also. What to speak of those who hook on to this disciplic succession? They put, even if they still have to work, even if they have to do so many things, they say, my heart is hooked to this motive, this is my work. This is the family business, I'm taking it up. Yeah, this is our family business. We're following in the footsteps of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, these great luminaries, and coming down so mercifully through Srila Prabhupada, such a miraculous story. So, what a day to remember how compassion is the hallmark of the great Vaishnavas, that although in India at the time, all the tides were against Bhaktivinoda Thakur coming out with this direct philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam and preaching about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He just did it. He came out, and purity always wins. Purity always wins. It's the purity of the bhajan that wins. It's not the hard work that one performs, it's the purity of one's mantras and intentions in chanting the mantra, and one's ability to catch on to the disciplic succession that actually wins the day. Even if one is simple, even if one is not a great intellectual, if one has this determination of heart that I'm catching on to the disciplic succession by being the servant of the servant of the servant, britya, and becomes the servant in the disciplic succession in the same mood, that just the trace of the scent of pure devotional service is the only thing valuable in this whole world, then this is the great success of life. And this is the preoccupation of all the devotees in this community. So it's a glorious thing. We're huddled here at the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and going on with his work that he started. And it's such a nice connection. And not only that, we get to participate personally in the distribution of this through public chanting, through serving people prasadam, through going to universities and preaching, going to institutions like Google and Intel, and where all the devotees are going everywhere, to going into your own families. Devotees who are in family life, and this is another very important point, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a grahasta with 10 children, sometimes I heard 11 children, I don't know, but that's a lot. And then he was the great acharya. He's one of the great acharyas. It's called the seventh Goswami, who was able to actually revive Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's intention to see that the world be given the holy name in such a way, in such a form, and so forth. And he showed by his example, by his achar, by his personal example, that even as a householder with the most responsible position and job, he went on with his propagation of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada describes his schedule, that he would come home from work at around 7 p.m. He would have some prasadam, and then he'd take rest. And then he'd get up at midnight, and then he'd write. He only slept a few hours a day, 5 hours maybe maximum, and all night long he was writing. And then he would take time for correspondence, and then he would do his work, which was very demanding. And at one point, he was also in charge of Jagannath Puri Temple, which has 56 offerings a day. And just seeing how, showing by example, how one can work in this world, be a grahasta, and also be a beacon of Krishna consciousness for the world. He's our great hero, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we're very fortunate to be able to follow in his footsteps. We should be encouraged to just use our life energy for this cause of preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, expanding the marketplace of the holy name. This is just such a wonderful, innovative idea to market the holy name everywhere. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in the marketplace, in the scheme of things, placed himself as the sweeper in the marketplace. Gave positions to everyone in himself. I am the sweeper in that marketplace, showing the power of deep humility to be like Radhanath Swami was explaining to us, if you become like salt. You become the supporting element, the servant behind the scenes. You don't need to be in front. You don't need to take credit unless you're asked to do so. And by such a humble mentality, being satisfied just to see that the Krishna consciousness movement is being expanded anywhere and everywhere, one is guaranteed the success of life. So we offer our deepest gratitude at the lotus feet of Shri Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who showed us by example, and then through his ardent prayers brought a son into this world that was a ray of Vishnu, and whose vibration is still pouring out all over the world. He reasons ill who say that Vaishnavas die, for Vaishnavas die to live, and living try to spread the holy name around. So we're never separated from Bhaktivinoda Thakur as long as we have our seva to his lotus feet. We'll sing one more bhajan by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then we're going to have a Pushpanjali. Do we have time? Not really, huh? We'll squeeze it in. Any requests? Favorites of Bhaktivinoda bhajans? Sri Gopal's smiling. Which one do you like, Sri Gopal? Really, you like that one? I sing it a little different because I learned it from Guru Kripa, who picked it up. So, Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachriyar Marman Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachriyar Marman Nachriyar Marman Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, hey! Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole, Nachriyar Marman. Doyal Tunai hai, Doyal Tunai hai, Emon Doyal Tunai hai, Mar ke prema de, Emon Doyal Tunai hai, Mar ke prema de. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachriyar Marman. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachriyar Marman. Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, hey! Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Nachriyar Marman, Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachriyar Marman. Ore apara dure jabe pabe premadan. Ore apara dure jabe pabe premadan. Vichar to nahi hai, vichar to nahi hai, o name aparad vichar to nahi hai, o name aparad vichar to nahi hai. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachriyar Marman. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachriyar Marman. Nachriyar Marman, 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 Nachriyar Marman. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya bole Charayar Marman. Takon Krishna name ruche habe Gucci bibhandhan. Takon Krishna name ruche habe Gucci bibhandhan. Anuragto habe Anuragto habe Krishna name Anuragto habe Krishna name Anuragto habe Doyal Nitai Chaitanya bole Charayar Marman. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya bole Nacharayar Marman. Nacharayar Marman. Nacharayar Marman. Nacharayar Marman. Nacharayar Marman. Hey! Doyali Tai Chaitanya bole Nacharayar Marman. Takon anayase sapal have jivera jivan. Takon anayase sapal habe jivera jivan. Jivanto miche Jivanto miche Krishna Rakti Bina Jivanto miche Krishna Rakti Bina Jivanto miche Doyali Tai Chaitanya bole Nacharayar Marman. Doyali Tai Chaitanya bole Nacharayar Marman. Nacharayar Marman. Nacharayar Marman. Nacharayar Marman. Nacharayar Marman. Hey! Doyali Tai Chaitanya bole Charayar Marman. Eshe Brindabane Radha Shamer Pabedarshan. Eshe Brindabane Radha Shamer Pabedarshan. From his house, Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to look out and he would see a shining temple in Mayapur, which would be the world headquarters for the Krishna consciousness movement. And he coined this phrase, Krishna consciousness. In fact, it's the great genius of Bhaktivinoda Thakur to bring out from the original language phrases that could be understood by people all over the world. And now that great temple, through the desire passed down in disciplic succession from the heart of Bhaktivinoda Thakur through Srila Prabhupada, is being realized in Mayapur. It's being constructed. Devotees all over the world are contributing to that temple, buying bricks and so forth. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also predicted that a great general would come who would spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. And we just happened to enlist in that same army, the general in charge. So we're in a very fortunate position. We need only to take with full gusto all the processes of devotional service given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the great acharyas, passed down to us from the ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and go on working hard to spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, and praying Gaura Kripa Hole Hey, Gaura Kripa Hole, Gaura Kripa Hole Hey, 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 Doyali Sai Chaitanya Bole Nachare Armarman, Doyali Sai Chaitanya Bole Nachare Armarman, Nachare Armarman, Nachare Armarman, Nachare Armarman, Nachare Armarman, hey! Nachare Armarman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Tai Gaur, Hari Bol. Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, hey! Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman.